What's going on, everybody? Coach Stefan here. I'm with one of our clients, David Miller. David, you just want to start off by introducing yourself, give them a little bit of background, maybe your age, what you do for work, so they can have some context into who you are before we dive in.
Sure. Yeah. As Stefan mentioned, my name is Dave. I'm 44 years old. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade and training. Was massively out of shape when I started this program, and I am down 75 pounds. So,
Yeah, yeah, he's done great, and you've been in the program about a year-ish, right?
right, right.
Dude, 75 freaking pounds in a year. We do talk to a lot of people that have about a weight goal that was like, anywhere from 50 to 70 pounds. And when you have that much weight to lose, I get it. It can seem like there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
You've put in the work, and we're going to dive into some other cool results that
Sure.
you've had too. But when you first started, like, did you even fathom that this was possible?
No, no. I actually didn't. To be perfectly honest, Stefan, I wasn't sure I was going to make it even past my first couple of weeks. We started. Um, I was, and it wasn't even that you guys had given me a ton of stuff that was difficult. It was just that when you're out of shape for
Yeah.
that many years of your life and you go back to doing exercises, it was extremely daunting. And there were times where I was just so frustrated that I couldn't even do simple frickin' things that I was like, I, what got me to the point where I got this weak?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I didn't even imagine, because I think I told you my goal was to get down to like 200 pounds. I didn't think I'd get down to 180. Um,
So where were you when you started then?
I
250?
was at I was beginning of that year I was at 255. When I started the program, I was at 245. So I had gotten, maybe 10 pounds of water weight down, but I
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
certainly wasn't in any kind of physical shape. I just, I was basically a ship without a rudder at that point.
Right. And you have I don't know, do you have any kids or just your wife or?
I have two kids. Yeah.
Okay.
So my wife and I got married. She had two kids from a previous marriage. When we got married, they were 7 and 10. And that was kind of another, I would say, motivator, in that
Yeah.
for the first few years of our marriage, I was sort of able to keep up with my son because I
Yeah.
wasn't quite as heavy, but as I got older, I
Yeah.
was just really struggling with that.
How old are they now?
They are 15 and just about to be 18.
Okay. So you got your hands full. And the reason
Yeah,
I think that's really important for people to understand is you're not just some single dude. Like
no,
I hear that a lot, like, oh, it's easy for you. Like a lot of I look young, right? So people don't understand that I had a kid when I was really young, and I've been a
sure,
parent my entire adult life. So like I get it. Now I have a baby and I run a business. And it's
sure.
cool that people can see that, like, you're married, you got two kids. It's not like you just have this like life where you can just do whatever you want and eat whenever you want. Like you have
No,
barriers just like everybody else.
no, my days are usually anywhere from 10 to 12 hours long at work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
they're not short days. When I come home, because my wife also works full time, she's an executive. Um, I'm cooking meals, I'm cleaning up, I take care of a lot of the stuff around the house. Like yeah, there are
Yeah.
plenty of obstacles, plenty of excuse points, if you will, and I
Yeah.
made them for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously you took ownership of that a year ago and you dove in. And um, I want to talk about the start, right? Like when you
Sure.
go, you've never had a trainer before, right? Not
No,
really. You never
no,
done online training. And I know
nope.
you did some, because you're in Arizona, you're right where we are. You did some in-person stuff with Mike too, but you've used
Correct.
the app, which that's where the nutrition aspect comes, which is
Correct.
a huge majority of your weight loss. What was it like the first like few months, like getting onboarded, like starting the process, meeting the coach? Like, I think that's where a lot of people are scared, right? They're like, yeah, once I've lost 20 pounds and I have the momentum, like maybe I would be a little more motivated. But what was it at the start? I mean, I know it was a challenge.
It was definitely challenging. The cool thing is that you guys made that part as smooth as you possibly could. Um, getting to not only touch base with you and find out whether or not I'd be a good fit for the program, getting to meet up with Mike almost immediately.
Yeah.
talk to him, kind of get a feel for what he was like. Um, and it wasn't like you guys came in and were like, all right, we're just, we're going straight into it. You're going to be doing all the heavy lifting and everything right off the bat. And we're going to go 100 miles an hour and make you feel like crap. It was, you set realistic goals. Like that was, I think, a huge part of it. It wasn't that you were giving me things that were completely undoable. They were things that are very much achievable. They were
Yep.
they were one of the things that even I wanted to touch on was the fact that, like, you mentioned nutrition. Nutrition has always been an enormous challenge for someone like me. I mean, you don't get to be really overweight without
Yeah.
really enjoying bad food.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just that or and too much food.
Yeah.
Um and so when you guys were like, well, we're going to cut your calories to this, I was like, oh man, am I going to be eating, vegetables and just nothing but salads every day? And you were like, no, that's not how you get strong. And that's
Yeah.
not how you actually be successful at this. And I think one of the things that I would always, encourage you guys, and I should say grateful to you guys, but encourage everybody is like, just because you're eating healthy doesn't mean you're eating health food. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to taste bad. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be bad food. It's actually really good.
Yep.
And that though, I mean, because your body, especially mine, was used to eating and getting dopamine hits off of crap, basically.
Yep.
That transition was tough at first. Those first few weeks,
Sure.
that was tough, because you're going, I really want some piece of garbage. I really want to
Yeah.
not have to do this next set of reps because I am really tired, and my body is literally fighting me tooth and nail right now. Um, but being able to push past that part and having you guys as support in pushing past those boundaries, and setting, really realistic goals. Like, you don't just dive in, and you're not just interested in, well, we're going to humiliate you into getting into shape. Like, no,
Yeah.
you were like, no, we actually have to
Yeah.
build something. Mike's thing was, yeah, you've got no general fitness foundation. We have to build the general fitness foundation before we can even start really doing what, the fun stuff,
Yeah.
which, is when you start seeing, the muscle build and everything else like that. That was huge, huge in this process.
Yeah, no, that's all really good insight. And I'm glad you touched on that, because I think most people, when they go to a fitness coach or they start a program, biggest fear, and I get on over 1,000 calls a year. Biggest fear I hear, which people don't really say it because they don't know how to verbalize it, but like I can pick up, and some people straight out say it, is like, I don't want to start fitness because it means that I have to eat salads and chicken and broccoli and rice. Like that, they think that because they're going to get in shape, I'm going to take away all their goodies. It
Yeah.
means no more fun. It means
Mhm.
no more eating. And I go, well, okay, so how does that sound to you? And they go, miserable. And I go, okay, so we can actually never do that. Do you understand? If
Right.
it sounds miserable, if it is something that you feel like, God, how long do I have to do this? Do you think that that's going to, number one, get you to lose the weight because you got to stick
No.
to it for like a year? Hell no. And then secondly, once you lose the weight, do you want to keep it off? Right. Because you're probably
Right.
at a point where you're like, there's no way I will ever, 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 ever go back.
Nope.
Cool. But we have to also find a way where if I told you, I want you to do like super low carb, don't ever have any treats, like you have to stick to this. Like I was a bodybuilding coach, and
Right.
I'll do a little tangent for a second. A lot of online coaches literally do like bodybuilding or physique or whatever, and they work with other clients that can eat the same boring things, and they're they don't have kids, and they're not like really
Yeah.
living a real life. Like they live their life for fitness. And then
Sure.
they get these online clients like you or sorry, other clients, and they go, just do better. Just eat this, follow it. Why are you so lazy? And I'm like, God, that is the worst part of coaching. And so I think the industry has thought that that's what online coaching is. But
Yeah.
when you get, and I know you know this, I'm really picky about the staff we hire. We have
Yeah.
amazing, high level, extremely experienced, educated coaches. And
Yeah.
coaching is not just a trainer that knows how to work out an anatomy, although Mike is a freaking genius.
Yes,
Um,
he is.
but it's also like, it's a psychology, right?
Right.
Knowing like how to push and how to pull and how to challenge you. Like it's coaching, right?
Right.
Um, which is, I say, like guided education, motivation is really just like in a bubble.
Right.
And I'm glad that we set realistic expectations. And I know like kept pushing you and challenging you as you grow, because
Right.
I would bet my money that if we would have came in, flipped your life upside down week 2, you would have been like, this sucks. I don't
I'm
want to
done.
continue.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I would have
Yeah.
been like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like this, I will never pull this off
Yeah.
and give up.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to talk about your results too. So 75 pounds in a year, insane. And we've actually had some people that have done that, like big weight loss, 50 to 70 pounds. Now you're a client. And by the way, you joined, this is March 2024. You joined around that
Right.
time, 2023, when we're recording this. You've got to see the community grow. You've got to see other people's wins in the group. How is it like
Right.
watching from a client standpoint? Because I don't want people to think like it's just you that are making wins. How has that been?
No, that's been incredible. It's not only been incredible from the sense of um, coming in and knowing that you guys were still trying to build, but coming in and watching just how quickly the client base has grown and how many people are being successful. I mean, you see people weekly that are like, "Hey, I'm down 10 pounds in a month. I'm down 20 pounds in 3 months. I'm down 40 pounds in 5 months." I mean, that's incredible to me.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging because it means that what you guys are doing absolutely works.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not just me that's a testament of that. It's because I know that the background of the people that are in your program are very is like widely varying. So,
Yeah. Really
for
wide.
myself, coming in as a engineer, I work a desk job, man. Like that's
Yeah.
all I do. That's all I've done for 30, almost 30 years is sit at a desk. I've been in my career now for 25, 26 years. And yeah, you don't do much movement, but you've got clients that are current military, former military, current law enforcement, current first responders, people like myself, and everybody's getting results, and everybody's doing it at a pace that works for them, but also is finding an enormous amount of success. That's incredibly encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, it really just goes back to the experience of like myself and the staff, right? I think a lot of
Right.
online coaches are like, oh, I have an Instagram following. I want to be a coach, or like I have a good physique.
Right.
And like, that's great. And I support that. And that's really cool.
Absolutely.
But when you've been training in person and done kind of everything in the industry for over a decade, and then you start a company, and that's why, right? Mike, 13 years of experience, plus
Right.
me, the same, Bryce, like we have all this like really experienced staff that have worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients.
Right.
So you can't kind of like make up for that expertise. And that's why when we have people that are different backgrounds, everything, it's like, oh yeah, I've worked with somebody like you before, but you have to put time under that, right?
Right.
Um, just like I'm sure in your job, you have some people and probably yourself that are like, hey, go to Dave for this. Like, like, you're like, oh yeah, he's done this a million times.
Sure.
And so it's kind of the expertise. And then I think the way that we structure it, because right, we're training through an app,
Hmm.
the nutrition, the training. I want you to kind of walk through that because, I think of a lot of people like online coaching, the way that we do it is a newer concept. It really blew up in like
Yeah.
2020. It kind of used to do it in like 2015, 16, but it was like email and Excel and it was a cluster. But now that it's through the app, how's the experience been using that as far as like tracking your workouts, your nutrition, communication with your coach?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, literally, I have, um, there have been times that I've needed to get in touch with Mike like ASAP because as a part of training, sometimes you do something dumb and you hurt yourself. Like I've done that twice,
Yep.
and
And it happens. I
I
mean,
did
we
some,
get tweaks and
yeah,
things,
I did
it's
something
part of
3 weeks
training.
ago where
Yeah.
I was unstable in a lunge and I rolled over my ankle with 140 pounds on my back, and
Ooh.
he's like, yeah, well, we're gonna do something a little different now. So he and immediately updated the training, just so that people are aware. You get a set of structured workouts when you do the hybrid program. Yes, you meet with your coach and he or she will do your workouts in person and walk you through a structured workout in person, but also you're during the week when you're on your own, you'll be doing these very structured workouts that get updated periodically as your level of fitness increases, and that's been just really easy. It's been super convenient. It's great to be able to walk into the gym and absolutely have a plan.
Yeah.
That's something that I've always felt when I was trying to do this on my own for years and years and years was lacking. I'd go into the gym and go, okay, I guess I'm gonna do chest stuff today. But I didn't have a concept of, okay, well, how do you get warmed up? How do you get pumped before you go do the heavier compound stuff?
Hmm.
How do you taper down from the compound movements to the more isolated movements and then do the burnout at the end to just completely get to muscle failure where you're going to start getting growth? These are things I did not understand. Of course,
Yeah.
I didn't have any education on. Nothing formal, nobody showing me what to do, how to do it. Whereas, as I said, with the app, with the way that the exercises are structured, it's fantastic. Nutrition is super easy.
Yeah.
Um, it has all the features of a MyFitnessPal on steroids, so you don't have to do any of the paying extra for the extra features of an app like that.
Yeah.
It does it already. You can literally scan in a barcode and have it read out what you're eating. Tracking food is really easy. Um, Tracking your calories, figuring out what works, what doesn't. You can do that as you're going along. Figuring out how to structure your diet so that you hit your macros on a daily basis. Um, and you can always ask for help if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Well,
That's the other big thing.
yeah, and a lot of what you're talking about too is how we approach training, I think, with the collaboration, right? Like we
Right.
can see all the food you're eating and not eating. We could see all the training you're doing and not eating or doing. So there's a lot of like back and forth in a good way. Like, hey, is this working? I know when we do the check-ins and stuff, specifically for our like full online clients, when we're giving them a response, it's like, hey, is this working? Is this good? It's very collaborative. That's like, right. You
Right.
build that relationship. Like I know you
Right.
built a really good relationship with your coach, and we
Right.
almost wanted to be like, hey, like this is my coach. We're like kind of friends. Like this is
Right.
because now you have the accountability. I mean, even you talking about exercise, I'm like, okay, David has some knowledge, which is good because that's another thing that we realize is like, we're
Right.
not going to work with you forever, man. And that's a big thing I always push. And so I
Yep.
want to teach you along the way. And I know I drill this into the coaches is like, we don't just bark orders. We also give the why behind things.
Yeah.
And we encourage you to ask because if the light bulb clicks, then you're like, oh, I know what to do, right? And you've gotten so advanced. I know we were chatting before. We're like, you can actually kind of do some programming on yourself by
Yes.
yourself, right? You've gotten to that point. And I'm like, beautiful. Because then when you're ready to go off on your own, it's like, no, no, like go. We encourage it. Like you've got to
Sure.
that point. You've earned it. You put in the work, you have the knowledge. And that is the ultimate goal, right? A good coach is a teacher. And a
Right.
teacher, if they're a good teacher, should not teach you forever.
Right.
And that's kind of the way that we look at it is like you're taught so you can go do it on your own.
Yeah.
Eventually, the journey's different. I mean, 75 pounds in a year is crazy. And you also have had some other things too. Like when you came in, you had a back issue, which is probably
I did.
holding you back. Walk
I
me
did.
through that. And then I'd love to touch on the other progress you've seen with like your health benefits, because those are huge too.
Sure. No. I mean, when I came in, I injured my back when I was 19 or 20, slipped a couple of discs in my
Mm.
lower lumbar.
I know how that is.
It and going up and down for years, so I'd be I use air quotes here, fine for 5 years at a time, and then I'd suddenly just be sitting down and I'd move and it'd pop and I'd be down on the floor for 3 days.
Yep.
Um, and so, shortly before you and I got in touch, it was probably about a year before. And this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Was uh, we were down in Mexico on a family vacation with other friends, and I was playing with the kids. I was really heavy at that point. I was probably all the way up at around 250 pounds. We were playing a baseball game. I had reached down to grab a ball, and felt something let go. I was like, man, that's probably going to hurt in the morning. Next day we drove home, and within a few hours of getting home, I had to be lifted out of my bed by paramedics because I couldn't get up, and nobody could lift me because I was too heavy. And so for me, yeah, concentrating on getting my core, my back, um, my hips, my legs, everything strong, to hopefully I just avoid that problem for the
Yeah.
remainder of my life. Um, that was a big part of it. Um, early on, uh, I because this is just my personality. Probably like a month and a half into the program, I was like, I'm going to push myself real hard today, and I popped a muscle in my adductor,
Yeah. I
and
remember that.
I ended up straining a muscle in my groin pretty bad. And Mike was like, huh, I the but to the apps, and to your guys' credit, I texted Mike, and Mike's like, okay, well, I'm going to update your programming right now, and we're going to talk about what to do in person. And within 3 days, I effectively had a training regime and training regiment that was better than what I would have gotten even at a physical therapy place. So like it was incredible to be able to learn that those are not permanently debilitating things.
No.
Those are things that can be worked around even while you do everything else, which is
Right.
that was huge.
Yeah. Yeah. The
So
adjustability is nice. And that's why we have the open line communication. Now people will probably ask, all right, dude, your blood work got better,
mhm,
your back significantly better, right?
yes. Oh, I
Yeah.
I mean I it's a non-issue at this point.
Yeah.
It's a
So
non.
back, yeah, Mike is a kind of a rehab specialist, right? So
Yeah.
your back is way better. You've lost the weight. People probably think you're working out 6 or 7 days a week. How many days have you been training on average throughout this whole year?
So on average, heavy days. So the big high intensity workouts 3 times a week.
Wow.
Off days, I will usually do a set of ab exercises, which honestly, folks, it's 15 minutes. I think everybody can make 15 minutes out of their day to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I'll go on long walks, and which is something, honestly, Stefan, that I also wanted to do for ages, because I love
Yeah.
love walking. I love hiking,
Yep.
love walking. Hadn't done it in a really long time because I couldn't
Yeah.
move. So yeah, no, we're right next to the green belt that goes through Scottsdale up here, and
Yep.
I just get on the green belt and I literally walk for 4 miles.
Yep.
Um, as often as I can. And that to me is, yeah, I wouldn't call that like working out. For me, that's not, so just so that people understand, like workouts to me are the 3 days.
Yes.
Those are the workouts. Those are the ones where when I get out of the gym, I am cooked.
Right.
Um, Walking and doing that kind of stuff, that's just fun.
Yeah. And
Um,
when you have a desk job, like people think, dude, I literally sit on my ass all day. Like
yeah, it's terrible.
same thing. I'm running an online business, guys. I'm at this
Right?
computer freaking from 5:30 in the morning till 8 at night sometimes. The only exercise I get,
You're done.
because I'm stuck at a desk, generally is if I go to jujitsu or something. Usually my trainings, and yes, I train 5 to 6 days a week because
Yeah,
I love it, but I
yeah.
feel like I have to. And the walking actually, every time I go to do a cut, and I want to get shredded, walking is one of the best things you can do. So I go on a long walk with my family, and I actually feel like garbage if I don't walk because I'm not moving
You,
all day.
yes, yes.
So
You and me.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
think that, yeah. So 3 days a week generally with movement, and y'all should be moving anyways
right.
daily at some
Absolutely.
capacity. Like you said, even from a mental standpoint, getting up, doing like a little 15-minute ab, like getting your blood pumping, like you feel good, like you're creating the momentum. And I know it didn't start like that, right? It started with just probably the 3 days a week, and you started as you lost weight. And here's the thing too, as you lose weight, it's pretty motivating. So you're
Yeah.
more willing to do more, right? You're
Yep.
more willing to be a little tighter on the nutrition. You're more willing to add
Yep.
stuff in because you're like, I'm bought in. Like this works. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I will start changing my lifestyle. And I know the lifestyle you had day one and the lifestyle you have now is probably pretty different.
It's night
Right.
and day. Night
Um,
and
I guess I think people might be curious too. How have you implemented this with a family? because I feel like people use their family as crutches, man. And I know, and I used to be the same way. And not for fitness, but I've used my family in the past for a lot of BS excuses and crutches. What was that like? Because you had to take ownership and be like, I can't use my wife as an excuse. I can't take my kids. Like, what was that process for you, and how have you overcome that?
So for me, um, honestly, one of the things that I thought was super helpful, and I actually have to thank you a little bit for this, was when you said in this first call, bring your wife,
Yeah.
because she was online when you and I were talking, and you said, well, it's going to be this, and it's going to be this much. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, oh, I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if I have the cost. And she looked at, and I think you looked at her and said, Heather, what do you think about this? And she
Yeah.
goes, oh, I think you should do it. And I kind of looked over her and did a double take, and I
You're
thought,
like, throw me under
oh,
the
heck.
bus.
I was going to say, oh, heck, if she's telling me I got to do it, then I got to do it. So, honestly, like, she has been an enormous support in that
Yeah.
process, which has been huge. Um, and she has given me the freedom, and kind of, we've had many talks about, like,
Yeah.
honey, I like, it's not that I don't want to be home. It's not that I don't want to spend as much time with you guys as I can, but I need these moments. And she just looked at me and said, yeah, absolutely. Because it's made a difference in our lives.
Yeah.
Uh, not just my life, but our lives. I am not as stressed out. I am not as I don't get as easily frustrated by things because I have an outlet for that.
Yes.
If something's frustrating, I literally tell myself, well, I'm going to go out and lift some heavy things and put them back down again, and I will feel
Yeah.
great. And I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, I got chills when you said that, because I feel like, and this is for the men watching, we're
mhm,
pumped full of testosterone. Generally, men have higher tempers.
yep.
We're not always, but we're like the workers, we're the grinders. And
Yep.
sometimes like we just go, 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 go. And that's also how probably maybe contributed to you getting out of shape. I know there's
Oh,
other things too, but it's like work, work, work. And trust me, building a business.
yeah.
But like, I know that if I don't train, and I've heard this from literally 600 men in our program over the couple of years, is like, when I train and I prioritize my health, I am a better husband. I am a better dad. I show up to work more efficiently because I'm just like, I'm I don't anger as easy. I'm
Yep.
just more peaceful. I'm more understanding. I actually have it's seen my productivity increase at work because I'm like kind of more on point mentally and sharp. Like
Oh,
every
absolutely.
single aspect of their life has improved. And it
Oh,
sounds
absolutely.
like that's kind of been the same story for you.
Oh no, that's absolutely the truth. This I think was the missing piece. I'd done a lot of work for um, mental health, spiritual health, health with my marriage. But the one thing I didn't do was the physical aspect, and that was the thing that was honestly lacking.
Yeah.
It has made such a huge difference, and even just in the dynamic in our home,
Oh,
of me
awesome.
just being able to come home and, like, hey guys, good to see you, love you, here's dinner, cleaned up, heading to the gym, and then I'm in a better mood when I come back, and I can
Yeah.
engage, and I'm not just like, oh my gosh, leave me alone. I'm gonna go into the room and watch YouTube for 2 hours until I go to bed, and then get
Yeah.
up and do it all the next day. I have energy. You know,
Yeah.
it's really fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm glad you have a good support system, and that is part of the reason we do these calls too. And if the spouse wants to be on, I always invite it, as you know, because it
Sure.
is a joint thing, and it is important that somebody has that support. Because it sounds like you have an
Absolutely.
awesome, lovely, supportive wife, which is
She's
fantastic, and that is a huge component, right? You
yeah.
could
Oh,
imagine, and this is why I do it. If if it would have been the opposite,
oh, it would have been awful. Would have
yeah,
been.
right. So I always, I'm married, I have kids. I always and I get that everybody's relationship's a little bit different, but I want the spouses, whoever that is for you, to be on board, because I know that like we're here, we're communicating, we're kind of there in your phone every day, but like you got to go home to reality. And
Yeah.
reality is, what are we eating and what are we cooking? And when you have your significant other sitting there and kind of giving you that space, and obviously you have to be a good communicator. So good job on you having those
No,
talks about like,
appreciate it.
hey, I need this.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I'm sure in your relationship, you'd be like, if your wife's like, hey, I need this, you're like, cool. You kind of have each other's
Yeah.
things. And it took a
Yep.
while. My wife is not a huge fitness freak, but a lot of people think I'm married to a fitness model. I'm not. She's a nurse. She works. She's a mom. And I had to be like, hey, I need this time
Yeah.
because it does make me a better person. And
Yeah.
really, like, I have the same story as you, man. When I do it, I'm a happier. Like, that's like the
Oh,
easiest way to put it. I'm just a happier person to be around. I'm more joyful. So she wants that time because she sees that change in me. She sees that I'm more thoughtful. And I know this is getting into the more emotional side, but that's really what this is about. Like, look,
yeah.
I want you guys to look good with your shirt off. I want you to
Yeah.
be animals. We are all for that. Trust me,
Right.
if anybody is for that, I'm for that. But I think that the big thing, I think what everybody really wants deep down inside is like, I want to be happier. I want to have better relationships. I want to have a better experience of life.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what looking better would do, right? Having more energy, having more confidence, like that is what it's going to actually do. And you've been a great testament to it, dude. You've
Thank
like, honestly, hats off to you. You work your ass off,
thank you.
obviously, like proof's in the pudding, man. And a lot of people ask, like, will this work for me? And I go, I don't know. Look at our Instagram. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I
No,
mean? There's
the
hundreds
answer.
and hundreds of people. I don't know, man. If it's worked for all these people, why wouldn't it work for you? And I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this because
Absolutely.
hopefully anybody that watches it is going to be sitting there and being like, man, this guy lost 70 pounds. He rehabbed his back. All his blood work was good. His whole life really changed. And honestly, this drives me to do what we're doing even more and freaking fires me up and gets me pumped.
Awesome.
So the last thing I would want you to touch on is kind of a
Sure.
question slash statement is, you know, if you were you or somebody kind of maybe in your shoes a year ago, what would you say to that person listening to this? Or maybe that's on the fence about getting an online coach, which I know sounds weird to some people because there's objections. Either it's not worth the investment or this won't work for me. Like, what would you just say to that person?
Honestly, if you want to transform your life, if you're genuinely serious about the fact that you are unhappy with your weight, you're unhappy with the way you feel, you're unhappy at your level of fitness, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Grab grab the opportunity. This is a fantastic program. I honestly, I could not have imagined, as I said at the beginning of the interview, could not have imagined that this would have been this effective.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
and when you've hit that point, just stop making excuses. Just go, and
Yeah.
then stick to it. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be an uphill battle at first. Like I would absolutely, I'm not gonna bullshit people and tell them it's not an uphill battle. It is an uphill battle at first. Said, but
Yeah.
once you get past that initial stages, that first month and a half, 2 months, man, you start building momentum. Not only does it get easier, it gets enjoyable
Yeah.
because you're driven at that point. You're going, oh, I'm actually seeing something. Something's happening here. This is working. And once the momentum comes, man, there is literally, I mean, you know what I've been through. My dog
Yeah.
broke a bone in my hand, and I had to, use wrist straps to do, any of the lat pull downs or
Yeah.
any of the exercises I needed. I rolled my ankle. Like I've done all kinds of stuff that was unexpected that could have put an obstacle in my way, but instead you built this program to give your clients the momentum to keep going even when the obstacles are in the way. So yeah, if you're looking at this, if you're watching this, if you're wondering whether or not this is going to work for you, yes, it will. Put the work in. Don't wait.
Yeah, dude, you said it. I kind of think of it where you have that picture where the guy's mining for gold and he's right there and he turns around, right? I'm
Yep.
sure you've seen that.
Yep.
And that is literally what most people do with their fitness journey. They're like, they go to the gym. I see people, I'm going to be going for 4 months and I kind of didn't make results. Well, number one, you just didn't. It's not that you weren't even putting in the effort, like the emotional effort, physical effort was there. You're just doing the wrong thing. So like,
Right.
not really your fault, but kind of your fault. But it's like, once you have the momentum, you unlock this new like zest where if you hurt your hand, the old David would have been like, oh, guess my hand's hurt. Now you're like,
Yeah.
nope. Right. Because you have this momentum. And
Right.
I'm glad that you're like, hey, it is an uphill battle. Guess what, guys? It is a grind a
Yeah.
little bit, especially in the first place. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I mean, obviously being on a program, having accountability, having communication makes it a million times better and a million times
Easily.
more effective. But
Yes.
at the same time, like it should be hard because anything that's ever worth accomplishing in your entire life
It's hard.
has been a little challenging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything, right?
Right.
Like relationships, you're like, man, we've really been through it and we've stuck it out. It's more
Yeah.
meaningful. My
Yeah.
job, like, bro, I put in so many hours of this job and I've helped create this and it's meaningful.
Yeah.
So if you think that you're just going to take a pill or do this or whatever, like, no, because look how passionate David is and how on fire he is. And just him talking about himself, like I can tell you're proud of yourself and you should be, but it's because you put in the work because it wasn't easy.
Yeah. And that, and you hit the nail on the head. And I know people look at that phrase as maybe trite or cliche, oh, no, nothing worth doing is easy. It's, well, yeah, but that's true. Like
Yeah.
I think about the fact that I have 2 degrees in engineering. That wasn't easy.
Nope.
I've built a career in that field for 25 years. That wasn't easy. None of those things were easy. I play instruments. They're sitting over there next to me. Like that wasn't easy to learn. And I don't know. I think I even approached this going, well, this should be easy. This is not,
Yeah.
this isn't, this isn't engineering. This isn't doing, learning how to play an instrument. This is just picking heavy things up and putting them back down again. But again, if you don't go in with a plan or any education, like no, it's not going to be easy. And even if you do, it's not going to be easy because it's requiring you to do something that you have never done.
Yeah. Not easy, but worth it.
Oh, I, I mean, I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
I cannot emphasize that enough.
Yeah, man. Well,
I never go back.
yeah, good. That's the point. That's where we know we won, right? Where
Mhm.
I'm like, if David left tomorrow, I'm good. I want to check on you in 5 years. And you're like, yep, doing my thing. Boom, dude. Like mic drop. That's where we want it. So I appreciate you jumping on.
No,
I know
absolutely.
I kept you on, but this was awesome. I again, hats off to you, man. You put in the work. I appreciate you saying a lot of great things about the program. I'm really excited for you to continue with us. But
Oh,
like,
absolutely. Me
you're
too.
the one that kind of has to battle your like inner demon, so to speak. We all do, and you have to make those decisions when you got the little devil and the little angel, and one's like, nope, I don't want. But the cool thing is that voice that used to be really loud, oh, it got super quiet,
Yep.
right? And the one that is a little more like, no, we're doing these things, probably not even a conversation in your head anymore. And that's
No.
I talk a lot about that on my podcast. It's like I don't really ever have to like ask myself if I want to go to the gym. It's not like a thing anymore. And it's
Right.
like, wow, if you could get there, do you think you could stay in shape forever? People like, yes, cool, let me get you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the journey that you've had, dude. So I appreciate it.
Thank
As
you.
always, dude, I look forward to watching you continue it. I know this is like honestly just the start. Mike is like, hey, this is just the beginning. You're like, what? Like
Yeah.
it's, there's a whole nother area to unlock of performance and muscle. And I know you're excited now. So we look forward to it, man.
I'm excited, man. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Take care.